This is the YMB and BTC Podcast.
Cryptocurrency decrypted.
Welcome to episode 60. This week, we're chatting about two cyber hacks that tell an interesting story. For starters, a Chinese Bitcoin exchange called BTER had about $1.75 million worth of Bitcoin stolen from a cold wallet. Should this encourage us to start using Bitcoin less because it's so insecure? Probably not, because the second heist is even more shocking. For several years now, a team of hackers has been taking control of bank networks around the world. All told, the group may have stolen as much as $1 billion. It's likely the largest bank robbery in history, but until last week, it was never even noticed. Perhaps our fiat currency has some security issues of its own. We'll share our thoughts on all this crazy news and tons more. Your hosts are Tim Baker, John Stuart, and myself, Daniel Brown. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome again to the show. This is a pretty awesome episode number 60. I get amazed every time that we're up this high. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited that we're getting this far, and I love it all the time. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker
and John Stuart.
So if anybody cares, today is Monday, February 16th, and you guys will be hearing this in just a few days on Thursday. Glad to have you with us. I spent the weekend at a Students for Liberty conference, an international Students for Liberty conference in Washington, D.C. I thought it was pretty fun. There were, lots of people in that crowd like Bitcoin. I met a lot of awesome people, met a lot of people that I work with all the time, but I had never met them in person until this weekend. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I don't know, Tim refused to go that close to DC, right?
Well, that and Saturdays are when I actually make any kind of money, so I can't really leave on a weekend.
Oh.
That reminded me that I forgot to tell you that I wasn't able to go. Like, I totally forgot to tell you.
Well, I figured if I didn't hear anything, I guess that would be a no, but that's all right.
Yeah.
How you have any, I don't know, any special stories you want to share?
Well, yeah, I didn't actually make it to a ton of the talks just because I was tabling the whole time. Well, actually, honestly, the only ones I made it to were the taping of John Stossel. I only went to part of that, and then they had like an art gala with like poetry and there was like a comedian and some singers and stuff, which actually, I will tell this, I walked in at the very end of the comedy skit, and I laughed quite a bit at the last joke, so I'll just tell it for fun, I guess. Well, he was saying how he could like make fun of Republicans for going to war and for all this crap that whatever Bush did and policies, whatever. He was just saying how easy it was to make fun of Republicans. And then he's like, normally I would make fun of Democrats right now, but I quit doing that because I'll just get like 3 months of protests and then sensitivity training or something like that. He's like, it's weird because you would think that if these people argue like night and day for a guy's right to take a dick, you would think they could take a joke, but they can't. So, and then later somebody was like, I think Kathy Reisenwitz was in there when he told that joke. I'm not sure you're allowed to tell dick jokes around Kathy Reisenwitz.
Get offended? Shouldn't get offended though. She likes dicks.
Somebody said she walked out crying, but they said that was just because she was sick, so I don't really know.
Oh,
why do you cry? Why do you cry whenever you...
I'm sure it wasn't like bawling or anything. I'm sure it was just she was sick. I don't want to start rumors.
Yeah.
Start rumors. Yeah, traffic.
Although that might get us some views.
That's
You
true.
first
That's
heard it
true.
now,
I'm
folks.
kidding. We don't want to become.
Kathy Risenwiz is scared of sickness and dicks, apparently. Or Daniel's just bad at assessing the situation.
Yeah. I hope she wasn't. I hope no one there got that. I hope people at a Liberty thing didn't get offended by jokes like that, or else they need to watch more Pendulette stuff.
I also had dinner with a guy that's running for president, and the bill came to $108 for 3 of us before the tip. Luckily, he was paying for it, so.
Oh, nice.
He needs to work on those numbers. Those numbers are way too low. You got to start spending way too much money to do this stuff.
Tim, I didn't just have dinner. I also got coffee and dessert. If I was paying, I would have just got dinner. No, I would have just
You
gotten
wouldn't have
appetizer.
gotten anything, Daniel. You wouldn't have gone.
Just gotten an appetizer.
No, I went to the exact same restaurant the night before, and I got like an $11 chicken tortilla or quesadilla.
That's actually not that expensive compared to what I experienced before. So, or what we did.
Yeah, compared to the
Asian place. The ping
well,
pongs.
it depends how big the quesadilla was. If it was like one of those like toaster oven quesadillas that has like one piece of chicken in it,
Then we're gonna have
It
problems.
was a little bit bigger than that. All right, we're gonna get to this story. This first one is, you know, you want to say it's crazy, you want to say it's outrageous, but it's getting to the point now where it's just kind of become a regular thing. You know, you hear about another exchange hack every month or two in the Bitcoin world, so you kind of get used to it. And in a way, that's kind of the whole point. It's like you're not supposed to be trusting other people with your money. You're supposed to be able to secure it yourself with Bitcoin, so it's kind of interesting. But this time, this was BTER. I don't know if it's BTER or BTER, if there's a acronym
I
or
really
something.
hope
I don't know,
it
but
was BTER. I really hope it's not Beater spelled like that for a name of a company, but whatever.
okay, I could see that. BTER just sounds like the dumbest acronym for some reason.
It's too
but
long.
yeah, too hard to say. BTER. I don't know. Anyway, this exchange apparently lost $1.75 million in Bitcoin, obviously. And they say it was their cold wallet that got hacked, which is kind of interesting because that's not quite supposed to be possible. I mean, anything's possible. It's just a cold wallet is supposed to be really hard to hack, but that's what they say happened. This is the story from CoinDesk. I'm going to skim through it, but there's really not a lot more to it. They say they're working with law enforcement, and they're offering a 720 Bitcoin bounty if anybody can get it back. Which is about 10%, I guess. So I guess if anybody has, private eye skills or something, maybe you can get 720 Bitcoins. They do have the funds on the blockchain, obviously. You can trace that. They're sitting in a couple addresses. And then here's one more thing that is pretty sketchy, maybe. And it makes you think that you might not want to deal with BTER again. Apparently, I remember reading about this. I don't think we really reported anything about it. I think I just read it at some point. But apparently, they lost 50 million NXT. NXT, which is a kind of like an altcoin. And this is just a couple months ago. And that was worth 1.65 million at the time. So this is their second big hack, well over $1 million both times. I don't know. I think if anybody has any smarts about them, they're not going to use this exchange anymore.
I mean, yeah, definitely if they've had 2 hacks, I'd say get your money out of it. There's plenty of other... I mean, where is this located?
Looks like China. Yep, China.
Okay, I mean, what are some other marketplaces in China?
Good question. I know there's BTC China. The only reason I know that is because China's in the name. There might be more, but I don't really use exchanges very much.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a possibility there aren't that many. If you have any other access, I'd say get something else just because they've, at least until they start to show that they're taking their security a little bit more seriously. Not that they're not that they're not necessarily, wow, there's too many anons there, but I'm not saying that they're not taking their security seriously necessarily. It could be that they had 2 flukes that had a hack, but
Right.
at the same time, using your best judgment, you should probably get it out of there until they start showing that they're actually putting some increased security implementation in. Because, yeah, definitely it being a cold storage wallet that was hacked.
Yeah, that...
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, in order for a cold storage wallet to be hacked, really it should either be... I guess there's 2 ways. Either it would be an employee who had physical access to the cold wallet and got it that way. I suppose it could also be maybe when they created the wallet. I mean, even if it's offline, you still have to use the computer to create the wallet. And maybe the software that they used could have had like a bug where like it wasn't sufficiently random numbers or something. So in that case, even if you stay offline, if people know that the software has a bug and it's going to pick these numbers instead of random numbers, you know, they could theoretically figure stuff out that way. But my point with though was that it could be an employee. That was what I was trying to say.
Yeah, but I think that in the article they'd say that. I think maybe either we're thinking incorrectly of what all a cold storage wallet contains, or else they're being too broad with their language.
You think they would say what?
I think that they would say that that this shows that it could very possibly be an employee, but it doesn't say anything about that, does it?
Okay, that's...
I didn't mean to... That sounded like I was being an asshole. I wasn't trying to be. I was like actually asking. Right. Because I haven't read it.
You're right. It doesn't say that. And you're right. If that was a pretty strong implication, they probably would have brought it up. So you're right. It's probably more of a software thing. Possibly an internet hack. Although I don't really know why they would call that a cold wallet then. So I don't know.
I'm saying maybe the person writing the article was being too broad with their definition of what a cold wallet is.
Oh, yes. And
that could be it, or
yeah.
We could have it confused, whichever one.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's not just about getting the wrong one. It's the fact that there are so many. So you can have a correct definition, but somebody else is just using it differently. You're completely right about that. So that's a possibility. But even if it is a different definition, it still should be really the most secure wallet that they have. And obviously it didn't work out like that, so you know, be careful. They're not necessarily malicious, but just as always, no matter what exchange you go to, be careful. Get it out as quick as you can. If you have to exchange a lot, that's fine, do it, but get it out as quick as you can. And do some research, I guess. Stuff like that, so. Anyway, we have a interestingly related story to talk about, if there's nothing else on this one. Anything else?
No.
All right, so yeah, I guess I'll let Tim take it away then. The other half of this is a pretty crazy US dollar theft that...
It's a bank heist.
Yeah, supposedly,
so exciting.
Hundreds of millions of dollars have been getting stolen from hundreds of banks for years. All through, cyber stuff. Not like guns or anything.
I wanted to make an introduction using that as a literary device and slowly draw people into thinking that it was that, Daniel, and then turn around to being a cyber thing, and it was going to be cool.
All right,
you took it away from me.
We're going to politely ask our audience to ignore everything I just said, and Tim's going to start over. Go for it.
Okay. Imagine if there was okay, that's stupid. Never mind.
No, I seriously want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm not going to do it.
What the heck? Now you're ripping me off,
and now you're ripping the audience off. I was just making a comment. Okay. Imagine a group of criminals. This is such a bad... who went around to multiple different countries and robbed all these different banks in crazy bank heists, but then no one ever knew that it actually happened because it was cyber. And there, Daniel, thank you for making me do that.
That wasn't bad. It
was really bad. This is a story from the New York Times, and actually another article I was looking at, they made a decent point that the New York Times is covering this a few days after this has happened. It wasn't jumped on right away. The story wasn't. But
right.
Anyway, it's a lot of bank.
Real quick, the crazy thing about that, like, okay, so you're a few days late. That's not always a big deal.
No, but it's a huge bank thing.
Exactly.
It's been going on for years. This should be like front page news.
This could be the biggest bank heist in history. So, yeah, it should be all over the news. And I'm just reading one little story a few days late, so.
Yeah, it's not even... Yeah, it doesn't look like anything special even on the website. But, yeah, so they using... I'm not entirely sure how they did it. Because some things it talked about, it mentioned that they impersonated employees.
Well, not like physically, though, just like on the networks and stuff.
Okay. Why would they use that kind of language? That's...
Well, like if you're on the like network and you're logging into the bank system, you're pretending to be an employee and you're doing stuff with the money like an employee would do.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I just didn't... Okay.
What other word would you use?
I don't know, they just were hacked into the network and were
I guess part of it is just that if it was a straight up hack and they just took money, you know, that would be seen and that would be an anomaly right away. But if you're able to impersonate an employee, then the moving money isn't really noticed because it's like, oh, well, that was authorized.
Okay, you're right. Anyway, most of the major targets were in Russia, for the banks were in Russia, but some other ones were in the United States, and Japan, and some other countries in Europe. And they got about, what did you say, Daniel? The lowest estimates around 300 million?
They're sure that it's somewhere at least around 300 million, and it could be as high as like triple that. But real quick, weren't you telling me, John? Well, one of the points we would like to make is just how, you know, everyone beats on Bitcoin because it gets hacked like all these exchanges, you know, every other month, like I was saying. And one point that we would like to make is that, well, that happens with all money. It's just part of, you know, anything online can be hacked.
Yeah, if there's money to be made by hacking into something, then people are going to do it.
Right. So one of the arguments there could be about regulation. Like, they want to regulate Bitcoin as much as possible because they think it'll make it safe, but the dollar already is regulated and it's not really that much safer. It's not like it's really that protected. So that was a point that we were going to get to, and that's still a completely legitimate point, but it was also kind of funny. John was pointing out how, well, most of the hacks were in Russia, and Russia has a pretty lame government anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't say that because Russia screwed something up, that means that all governments are incompetent. That's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an analogy. Yeah, it's just like cherry picking or whatever.
It's just like they do whatever they want over there.
Well, it took them it took them like 50 years to find a serial killer that they actually caught like 3 times and then let him go because they thought he wasn't the guy. I just mean nothing over there is efficient or works well, so like you can't really use that as the standard. If Russia is like the standard of like like how things are supposed to work, then we're all totally just screwed.
Isn't Russia where Snowden is like camping out?
Yeah.
Yeah, they Skyped him into...
Well, he's not camping out. He can't leave.
Well, wait, he can't leave?
Yeah, he can't.
As soon as he leaves,
his passport has been revoked, I think. I'm pretty sure they revoked his passport.
Wait, is it he can't leave because of Russia, or he can't leave because of the U.S.?
I don't think he has a passport anymore. I think they actually revoked his passport. Like, he can't go anywhere. Because I know I was reading some article about him where he was saying how he wants to come home, but he can't. Like, people are like painting him as like
why
this...
does he want to come home? I thought we like hated him, or not like we, but the government. Yeah, I thought they were after him.
The thing is, people are saying that he's like an expatriate and he hates America, and he's like, no, I wish I could come home, but I can't because they won't let me and because they hate me.
Yeah.
As soon as Snowden gets out of Russia, he's pretty much going to get grabbed because everyone else is going to be like, U.S. just take him. Russia's just being like, no, we're not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true too, but I'm pretty sure that like he.
I mean, I have no idea.
I think he can't even leave if he tried to, though. But you're also right about that. Like, it wouldn't be a good idea to leave anyways.
Huh. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I just thought of that was because they did Skype him in to the conference, but that was the first night and I was late, so I didn't get to see that. But everyone said they loved him, so I don't know.
Oh, it was also that the way that they initially got involved in the banks was by
oh, right.
installing a RAT, which is a remote access tool, which they actually took a video of employees' computers.
Well, hold on.
What?
Are you saying this is how the hackers first took control of the bank computers?
No.
This is how the bank first spotted the hackers?
Okay, I'll read from the article.
Okay.
It says, in many ways, this hack began like any other. The cybercriminals sent their victims infected emails, a news clip or message that appeared to come from a colleague as bait. When the bank employees clicked on the email, they inadvertently downloaded malicious code that allowed the hackers to crawl across a bank's network until they found employees who administered the cash transfer system or remotely connected ATMs.
Okay.
Then Kaspersky's investigator said the thieves installed a RAT, remote access tool that could capture video and screenshots of the employees' computers.
Okay, so that's why I was confused. So that was what the hackers were doing to the banks, and then what I was confusing it with is how the banks first discovered the hack is when they saw it on a security footage that an ATM was just randomly spitting out cash. It was just like coughing up money, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" I wish that happened when I was going by.
Yeah. So, I mean, like what you were saying before, John, about how if we're gonna base how we think government should deal with this stuff on how Russia does it. Still, I mean, they put in a lot of effort with this. Like, I can't say that I expect a bank to be able to deal with people who hack into it and then also have, like, video cameras of exactly how they do stuff and just completely mimic that. I mean, that's
You're saying the hackers put a lot of effort into it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they did, but...
Yeah. So they deserve this money, right?
I don't care as much when it's dollars, but no, they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But they get it now. Like, we can't all see where it is, like, on the blockchain. Not that... Has anyone gotten their money out of after hacking stuff like that?
Actually, this is something I could have mentioned with the last story. The NXT hack, they actually did kind of negotiate to get some of it back. Now, I don't want to say too much just because I don't know the details and I don't want to say too much if it's wrong. But I think the threat, the reason they got some of the NXT back was because they were threatening to actually roll back the entire blockchain so that the thieves would have lost everything in the end. I actually don't know if that was the NXT hack, but I did hear a story like that for sure, where... And actually, I think it was on the show. I think we had a guest who told us about it. But yeah, somebody was threatening to roll back the entire blockchain, not Bitcoin, but an altcoin. And that was kind of a big thing. But anyway, yeah, that's what it does say, that apparently in this NXT hack, they did get some of the money back. Hey guys, I want to tell you about Wall of Coins, a brand new and very handy service for trading Bitcoin. The platform is designed to enable anyone to get their hands on some Bitcoin. Buyers are quickly connected to an authorized, trusted seller within the Wall of Coins network. Just set a dollar amount for your order, safely pay at a bank near you, and you instantly own more Bitcoin. Buyers don't even have to create an account, so anyone can have access to Bitcoin. got some extra coin lying around? With Wall of Coins, you can sell it for cash, available immediately in your bank account. Visit wallofcoins.com right now to see just how easy it is. Oh, this is good. All right. So I guess I'm reading a little bit farther down, and it says the silence around the investigation appears motivated in part by the reluctance of banks to concede that their systems were so easily penetrated, and in part by the fact that the attacks appear to be continuing. What the heck?
This sounds like Russians again. It's just like, like that's happening. No, it's not. Yes, yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it's happening right now. No. No, this man is good comrade. He not kill people. No, that was like an Indian thing.
Well, yeah, I was talking to someone who's Ukrainian yesterday, and she was saying that Russians are basically
so disappointed.
Saying that basically Russians are the worst. She's like, Russians think that like they were put on this earth to rule the world.
No, and actually,
not every Russian.
Obviously, she's like had a lot of experience with Russians being from the Ukraine. Yeah.
How long ago did she get out of Ukraine?
Long enough that she's not dead or like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, was she there during the riots?
No.
Or not the riots?
No,
but,
it's been like
War.
a long time.
Okay.
Like I think she came here in college, which was probably like 10 or 15 years ago or something.
Okay.
This is not really that relevant, but I just feel like telling this story. I was at this one party over at this conference, and I was talking to this like really big bearded Norwegian guy. He was a really cool guy, really funny. He was chugging the wild turkey, and he's like, "This party is so American," because like whoever's room it was kept telling everybody to shut up because he didn't want the hotel to get upset or anything. And every time he said like shh, this guy was like, "This is so American. In Norway, we just close the door, we lock the door, we say fuck it, we just do what we want." And if they come for us, we hold our ground.
You gotta
Which
fight
he's
for your
probably
right.
right. That's probably Americans probably have pretty lame parties.
Oh, Americans are pussies. Especially with how we deal with police and any kind of, oh no, oh we're sorry, just no. I mean, we have a reason to. It's because they beat the shit out of you and kill everybody. But still, like compared to how you see people like at protests across. Also, the other thing with protests, we're like, oh fuck, my sports team won. Let's burn some fucking couches. Versus, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with every protest in Europe, but at least, and they do it over soccer too. But
yeah, I think they more just protest about everything.
Yeah, they seem to have some more spark, which I think even if it is misdirected, I think I like it better than the general sense of apathy with most Americans.
I don't know. I have conflicted feelings on that.
Yeah. I
Wait,
mean,
hold on. What do you mean? You're saying Americans have apathy?
Yeah.
I don't think it's apathy, though.
It depends if it's apathy about, their own. This is gonna be the worst description. But my point is,
it always is,
that he was saying that they weren't apathetic. They were concerned about like the hotel employees who did eventually come and tell us to shut up.
I was switching to about the protests, and you could say like apathetic is in the fact of, and John's right. It's not apathetic. I guess it's and maybe I'm making a generalization too. I mean, I'm probably making a generalization.
Well, yeah,
but
John was saying how like the Russians are. I forget what you said, but that's what I was trying to say.
Russians
not all
like,
Russians.
Oh, you see
Honestly,
what Russians do. It's crazy. Ukrainians start throwing bottles at police. I mean, like, they set them on fire. I mean...
This is going to sound really crazy. I'm going to have to explain myself, I guess, after I say this. But I feel
it's
like...
be good.
I feel like the difference is that... Well, I don't know. This is like... I really don't have a strong basis to argue this on. But I would guess or it just seems like Americans are less entitled than Europeans, and that's why we riot less.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
And
a decent point.
when I say that, I don't mean to say that Americans don't feel entitled. Just that Europeans feel way more entitled.
I mean, yeah, as a generalization, yeah, I could definitely see that.
I mean, because
well,
there's some...
not,
The only basis I really have for that is that, like, Europe has had, like, nanny states a lot longer than we have, and, like, more... Definitely more involved. And also, I think even still, like, America's, like... The average person has way less leisure time than most Europeans. Like,
really?
Europeans have so much leisure time compared to Americans. And it's we always talk about Americans being fat and lazy, but really, like, we're actually one of the countries that works the most. To a point that it's actually probably bad, but...
I think that's more the consumerism, because you just gotta make more, because... the other guy next to you is going to make more, and he's going to buy his kids that new thing, and you got to.
Well, I think it's also just, like, worshipping achievement.
Yeah.
This is getting way too,
Yeah, not that we got way too off of that, but...
Yeah, that was definitely off topic, but kind of an interesting conversation anyway. Anyway, yeah, I guess I'll read the end of the article just to kind of wrap things up and talk about kind of his conclusion. I don't know if we said this, but this article is by David E. Sanger and Nicole Perlroth. That's weird. I'm not sure how many articles are written by two people, but apparently this one is. And I'm just going to read the conclusion. The hackers' success rate was impressive. One Kaspersky client lost $7.3 million through ATM withdrawals alone, the firm says in its report. Another lost $10 million from the exploitation of its accounting system. In some cases, transfers were run through the system operated by the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT, holy crap, which banks use to transfer funds across borders. It has long been a target for hackers and long been monitored by intelligence agencies. Mr. Doggett, he's the managing director of Kaspersky, it said. He likened most cyber thefts to Bonnie and Clyde operations, in which attackers break in, take whatever they can grab, and run. In this case, the heist was much more Ocean's 11. I don't know, have you guys seen that movie? I think...
Yeah.
Why
You
are they
love that
comparing
movie.
this to, like...
Because it has to be like a movie.
It either has to be like a movie or like famous historical figures.
Well, see, the thing with Ocean's 11, too, like, sure, maybe they planned it a lot, but they still just took things and ran. They didn't carry it on and on and on.
I don't think it's like either of those things. It's like its own thing. Plus, like,
Yeah.
the way people are doing stuff now is so much smarter and lazier.
I think our show, our podcast, has a love-hate relationship with metaphors. Sometimes we love them and use them way too much, and sometimes we're like, you can't compare two things that are different. Who the heck does that?
I'm fine with comparing two
Daniel's
things that are
getting
different.
very angry.
But this isn't even a metaphor. This is like a direct comparison. They're
Right.
just like, it's like Bonnie and Clyde. Why? Just because they stole money?
Well, no, wait a second.
Yes, John, and it's
There's
I
nothing
thought-
else.
I thought he brought up the Bonnie and Clyde thing as a contrast. He says most cyber thefts are Bonnie and Clyde type, but in this case, it's more Ocean's 11.
Well, what's the difference between those?
I think like you said, Bonnie and Clyde is just like run and gun. Ocean's 11 was like this gigantic, elaborate scheme.
I feel like which cyber attacks are run and gun?
That's a really good question. I have no clue.
Get in there, hack into it quick. That's like the whole, like, always in the movies, they're like hitting it in like 5 minutes. You've got to have something like that. That's a run and gun hacking thing.
I don't know much about Bonnie and Clyde either. I'm probably too young for that, but I believe
They
them.
were from the 1920s. What are you talking about? You're too young for it.
See, I didn't even know that. So there you
They were
go.
bank robbers, and they got killed, and then people, like, worshipped them because they were bank robbers. No, that was Dillinger more, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway, so that's the end of the article. This one's much more Ocean's 11. That's it. So, like we said with the Bitcoin hack, just you gotta be careful, even with dollars.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Daniel's motto for life. You gotta be careful.
Are you disagreeing with me, Tim?
I don't think you should be careful. I think you should be as reckless as possible.
Yeah, that's how you live the best
If you
life.
haven't gotten fucked over in the last 2 days, your life is a waste.
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. No.
I don't know what that was supposed to mean. I'm too. It's always long days on Mondays.
It's
a month. Nope, it's Tuesday.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Anyway, well, it is actually Tuesday. We just ticked over midnight, so I guess we can wrap this up any time now. You guys have anything else?
No, not really.
All right. Well, I guess just because I'm thinking about it and just because it's interesting, I will mention real quick, check out my Bits and Pieces article. I do one every Monday, and we talk about them sometimes, but we didn't today, so head over to YMBTC.com and check it out. I wrote today about how the internet is not free, and I actually argued that the internet is not free, and I'm actually pretty darn proud of this article, so check it out. Thanks for listening to episode 60. All of the music in today's show was from John Stuart. Remember to check out this week's show notes at youmeandbtc.com. We'll see you next Thursday.